The air in Vancouver's Pacific Central Station was buzzing. It was not just the usual hum of travelers coming and going. There was a special kind of excitement, a feeling that something truly grand was about to begin. My partner and I stood on the platform, our breath misting in the crisp January air. We were about to embark on a journey we had dreamt of for years. This was not just any train ride. We were about to board the Canadian VIA Rail's legendary sleeper train. Our destination was Toronto, a whole continent away. This journey promised an epic 5-day adventure across the vast, snowy landscapes of Canada, a country known for its magnificent and wild beauty. It honestly felt like stepping into the pages of a classic travel story. The sense of anticipation was palpable among our fellow passengers. We saw faces from all over the world, each one lit with the same wonder and excitement. People were taking photographs, hugging loved ones goodbye, and peering down the long platform at the gleaming silver carriages of our train. The Canadian has a reputation that precedes it. It is one of the world's longest and most iconic train journeys. The idea of spending several days cocooned in this moving world, watching a nation unfold outside our window, was simply thrilling. We had booked this trip months in advance, and now the moment was finally here. Our bags were checked, our tickets were in hand, and our adventure was about to start. We knew this journey would be a significant investment, but we believed it was worth every penny for a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The cost for a cabin for two in the sleeper class covers not just your travel but also your accommodation and all your meals. It is like a rolling, all-inclusive hotel. This meant we could relax completely, without worrying about the logistics of finding food or a place to sleep for the next 4 nights. The promise was simple: step aboard, settle in, and let the train carry you through some of the most spectacular scenery on the planet. The festive mood was infectious, and as we prepared to board, we felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey ahead. As the final call for boarding echoed through the station, we made our way towards our designated carriage. A friendly VIA rail attendant greeted us with a warm smile, checked our names, and pointed us towards our cabin. Stepping onto the train felt like crossing a threshold into another world. The interior was warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the chilly air outside. The classic design of the carriages, with their polished wood and comfortable furnishings, spoke of a golden age of rail travel. We knew that this train would be our home, our restaurant, and our window to the soul of Canada for the next 5 days. The engine gave a gentle lurch, and our epic journey had officially begun. Boarding the Canadian is an experience in itself. It is a process filled with old-world charm. Unlike the rush of modern air travel, here everything felt calm and organized. We handed over our large suitcases to the baggage handlers, knowing they would be safely stowed away for the journey. We would only need our small carry-on bags in our cabin. This simple act immediately made us feel lighter, unburdened. The train itself is a magnificent sight. Its stainless steel carriages, originally built in the 1950s, have been beautifully restored. They shine under the station lights, promising a journey rooted in history and comfort. This is not just transport, it is a piece of moving history, a testament to the romance of rail. Once on board, we were introduced to the many amenities that would make our journey so special. Our sleeper class tickets gave us access to several exclusive lounge cars. These were social hubs where you could relax, read a book, or chat with other travelers. But the most exciting feature of all was the famous dome car. This carriage has a raised glass-domed roof, offering 360-degree panoramic views of the landscape. We knew we would be spending a lot of our time there, especially as we climbed into the mountains. The idea of sitting in a comfortable chair and watching the majestic Canadian wilderness glide by through a glass ceiling was almost too good to be true. Our accommodation was a cabin for two. It was a private, compact space that would be our personal sanctuary for the trip. By day, it featured 2 comfortable armchairs facing each other, next to a large picture window. By night, an attendant would transform the space, folding down 2 cozy bunk beds. It even had its own private toilet and sink. Although small, it was ingeniously designed to be comfortable and functional. It was our little bubble, a front row seat to the greatest show on earth. We unpacked our small bags, settling into the rhythm of the train as it began to pull away from the city lights of Vancouver and into the darkness of the countryside. The Canadian is renowned not just for its views but for its service. The staff on board are famous for their hospitality and experience. Many have worked on this route for decades and are full of stories and knowledge about the journey. From the moment we stepped on, we felt looked after. Our carriage attendant explained everything we needed to know, from meal times to how to convert our seats into beds. There was a sense of pride in their work, a genuine desire to make our journey unforgettable. This level of care and attention to detail is what elevates the Canadian from a simple train ride to a legendary travel experience, cherished by all who make the journey. Our journey would trace a path of 4,466 kilometers across the second-largest country in the world. The route of the Canadian is a marvel of engineering and a lifeline that connects the Pacific coast to the heart of central Canada. We started our adventure in Vancouver, a vibrant city nestled between the mountains and the sea. From there, the train would carry us east, beginning its slow and steady climb into the formidable Canadian Rocky Mountains. This first leg of the journey is arguably the most dramatic, promising, breathtaking views of snow-capped peaks, frozen lakes, and deep forested valleys. The scheduled journey time from end to end is around 92 hours, which translates to 4 nights and 5 days of pure travel bliss. After conquering the Rockies, the train descends onto the vast Canadian prairies. This part of the journey offers a completely different, yet equally mesmerizing landscape. We would travel through the provinces of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. Here, the world opens up into an endless expanse of flat, snow-covered plains under a vast sky. It is a landscape that speaks of solitude and immense space. The train would make stops in major cities like Edmonton and Winnipeg, as well as smaller towns that owe their existence to the railway. This route allows you to witness the incredible diversity of Canada's geography, from towering mountains to the flat, open heartland of the continent. The final stage of our transcontinental crossing would take us through the rugged Canadian Shield of northern Ontario. This region is characterized by thousands of frozen lakes, dense boreal forests, and ancient rock formations. It is a wild and sparsely populated area, where the railway line often feels like the only sign of human presence for miles around. The train winds its way through this remote wilderness, offering glimpses of a landscape that has remained largely unchanged for centuries. It is a powerful reminder of the sheer scale and untamed nature of Canada. This leg of the journey feels like a true escape into the wild, a final immersion in nature before returning to the urban world. Our grand tour across the country would finally conclude in Toronto, Canada's largest city. Arriving at Union Station in the heart of this bustling metropolis would be a world away from the quiet wilderness we had just traveled through. The journey on the Canadian is not just about getting from point A to point B. It is about the experience of crossing a continent, of seeing the landscape change dramatically day by day. It is a journey that connects you to the history, geography, and spirit of Canada in a way that no other form of travel can. It is a slow, deliberate, and deeply rewarding way to understand the true scale of this incredible country. Stepping into our cabin for two for the first time felt like discovering a cleverly designed secret hideaway. The space was compact, but every inch was used with remarkable efficiency. During the day, the cabin was set up as a private lounge. 2 plush, comfortable armchairs sat opposite each other, positioned perfectly next to a large picture window. This window would become our personal cinema screen for the next 5 days. A small, foldable table sat between the chairs, perfect for holding a book, a cup of tea, or a game of cards. There was a surprising amount of storage, with a small closet for hanging coats and overhead compartments for our carry-on bags, keeping the main living space wonderfully uncluttered. The real magic happened each evening. While we were at dinner, our cabin attendant would perform a swift and silent transformation. On our return, we would find the armchairs gone, replaced by 2 inviting beds. The beds were arranged in a bunk bed style, with a comfortable mattress, fresh linens, a duvet, and pillows. A thick curtain provided privacy for each bunk, and each had its own reading light. Climbing into bed and being gently rocked to sleep by the motion of the train was an incredibly soothing experience. It was far more comfortable than we had imagined, a cozy cocoon that protected us from the cold Canadian night as we traveled through the wilderness. One of the great luxuries of the cabin was having our own private ensuite toilet. Behind a door, there was a small but perfectly functional washroom, complete with a toilet and a sink with hot and cold water. Fresh towels, soap, and toiletries were provided, just like in a hotel. While the Sleeper Plus cabins do not have private showers, there are excellent shared shower facilities available at the end of the carriage. They were kept immaculately clean by the staff, and there was never a queue to use them. Having these private facilities in our cabin added a significant level of comfort and convenience to the journey, making our little room feel completely self-contained. The cabin was designed for relaxation and observation. There were power outlets to charge our camera batteries and phones, but other modern distractions were notably absent. There was no television, and most importantly, no Wi-Fi. This lack of constant connectivity was not a drawback. It was a feature. It encouraged us to look out of the window, to talk to each other, and to simply be present in the moment. Our cabin was more than just a room. It was the heart of our journey. It was our private viewing box for the spectacular scenery, our quiet retreat for rest, and our cozy haven at the end of each wonderful day on the rails. One of the most profound experiences of the journey on the Canadian was the enforced digital detox. Shortly after leaving the outskirts of Vancouver, we noticed our mobile phone signals begin to flicker and fade, and soon enough, they were gone completely. For vast stretches of the journey, especially through the Rocky Mountains and the remote wilderness of northern Ontario, there is simply no mobile reception and no Wi-Fi on the train. In our hyper-connected world, the initial feeling was one of slight panic. What if someone needs to contact us? How will we check the news? But that feeling quickly faded, replaced by a wonderful sense of liberation and peace. Without the constant ping of notifications and the endless scroll of social media, our attention shifted outwards. We started to notice the little details of the world passing by our window. We saw the way the light changed on the snow-covered mountains, the intricate patterns of ice on a frozen river, and the majestic flight of an eagle soaring high above the trees. Our minds, usually cluttered with digital noise, began to clear. Conversations with each other became deeper and more meaningful. We were no longer half listening while checking our phones. We were fully present, sharing the experience in a way that felt genuine and connected. This break from technology encouraged us to embrace simpler pleasures. I read more in those 5 days than I had in the previous 5 months. We played card games, we talked to fellow passengers, and we spent hours just sitting in the dome car, watching the world go by in comfortable silence. The train provides a perfect environment for this kind of mindful observation. The gentle, rhythmic motion is hypnotic, and the ever-changing scenery is more captivating than any screen. We found that our days felt longer and richer. We were not just passing time, we were truly living in it, soaking up every moment of this incredible journey across Canada. By the time we occasionally passed through a town with a brief flicker of mobile signal, we found we had little desire to reconnect. The urge to check emails and social media had vanished. We had discovered the joy of being disconnected from the digital world and reconnected to the real one. This journey taught us a valuable lesson about the importance of unplugging and being present. It was a reminder that the most memorable experiences are not the ones we post online, but the ones we fully immerse ourselves in. The lack of Wi-Fi was not an inconvenience. It was honestly one of the greatest gifts the journey had to offer. Mealtimes on the Canadian were a highlight of each day, a wonderful social ritual that we eagerly anticipated. The dining car itself was a beautiful space, with crisp white tablecloths, polished silverware, and large windows on both sides. It felt like a top-quality restaurant on wheels. For each meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, we were assigned a seating time. This system worked brilliantly, ensuring that everyone could be accommodated without the car ever feeling too crowded. The staff would come through the carriages to take our reservations for lunch and dinner, which added to the sense of occasion. It was a far cry from grabbing a quick sandwich on the go. This was civilized dining at its best. The food served on board was exceptional, far exceeding our expectations for train catering. The menus were thoughtfully crafted to showcase Canadian cuisine, using fresh, locally sourced ingredients where possible. For breakfast, we could choose from options like fluffy pancakes with maple syrup or a hearty omelet. Lunch was a 3-course affair, perhaps starting with a warm soup, followed by a delicious main like an Alberta beef burger, and finishing with a decadent dessert. Dinner was even more impressive, a sophisticated 3-course meal that could rival any fine dining restaurant. The quality and presentation of the food were consistently outstanding, a true culinary journey to match our scenic one. One of the best aspects of dining on the train was the social atmosphere. Because the tables in the dining car seat 4 people, we were often seated with other passengers. This was a fantastic way to meet new people and share stories. We met a couple from Australia who were seeing snow for the first time, a retired history professor from Quebec who knew every detail about the railway's construction, and a young family from Germany on a grand Canadian adventure. Conversations flowed easily, fueled by the shared experience of the journey. We swapped travel tips, pointed out wildlife to each other, and laughed together over dessert. These mealtime encounters turned strangers into friends. This communal dining experience fostered a wonderful sense of community on board. It broke down the usual barriers that exist between strangers and created a warm, friendly environment. Every meal brought new faces and new stories. We looked forward to discovering who our dining companions would be and what we would learn from them. The clinking of cutlery, the murmur of happy conversations, and the stunning scenery rolling past the window created a truly magical ambience. Feasting and making friends in the dining car became an integral part of our journey, enriching our experience in ways we had not anticipated, and creating memories we will cherish for a long time. The first full day of our journey was the one we had been most excited for, our passage through the Canadian Rocky Mountains. We woke early, just as the sun was beginning to cast a soft pink glow on the horizon. Peering out of our cabin window, we saw that the landscape had transformed overnight. The gentle hills of the Fraser Valley had given way to towering, jagged peaks cloaked in a thick blanket of pristine white snow. The train was moving slowly, winding its way along steep-sided valleys and alongside turquoise rivers that were frozen solid. It was a scene of such immense scale and breathtaking beauty that it felt truly humbling. We quickly dressed and hurried to the dome car to secure a good seat. The dome car was the best place to be. From this elevated glass bubble, the views were simply staggering. We had a complete, uninterrupted panorama of our surroundings. As the train snaked through the mountain passes, every turn revealed a new and more spectacular vista. We saw majestic peaks like Mount Robson, the highest point in the Canadian Rockies, its summit shrouded in a wisp of cloud. We traveled through the famous spiral tunnels, a masterpiece of engineering that allows the train to navigate the steep Kicking Horse Pass. The sheer power and raw beauty of nature were on full display, and we sat for hours, utterly mesmerized, as this grand theater of mountains, glaciers and forests unfolded around us. The journey was made even more special by the little moments of discovery. We learned to keep a keen eye on the forests alongside the tracks, and our vigilance was rewarded. We spotted a majestic bull moose, standing knee-deep in the snow, its huge antlers making it look like a king of the wilderness. Later, we saw a herd of bighorn sheep skillfully navigating a rocky cliff face. In the dome car, an older gentleman whom we affectionately nicknamed the Dome Grandpa would excitedly point out wildlife that the rest of us had missed. He had made this journey many times and acted as our unofficial guide, sharing his knowledge and infectious enthusiasm with everyone. As the day wore on, the winter sun cast long, dramatic shadows across the snow, painting the landscape in shades of gold and blue. Watching the sunset over the Rocky Mountains from the comfort of a warm train carriage was an unforgettable experience. The peaks were silhouetted against a fiery orange and purple sky. It was a moment of pure magic, a perfect symphony of light and landscape. The journey through the Rockies was more than just scenic. It was a deeply moving experience that connected us to the wild heart of Canada. It was a day of constant wonder, a powerful reminder of the beauty and majesty of the natural world. After a full day spent traveling through the most dramatic landscapes of the Rockies, our train slowly rolled into the small mountain town of Jasper, Alberta. This scheduled stop was more than just a brief pause. It was a welcome chance to stretch our legs and breathe in the crisp, clean mountain air. As the train came to a gentle halt, the doors opened and we stepped out onto the snowy platform. The town of Jasper is nestled in the heart of Jasper National Park, surrounded on all sides by magnificent towering peaks. The stillness and silence of the evening, broken only by the gentle hum of the train, was a beautiful contrast to the constant motion we had grown used to. The stop in Jasper typically lasts for an hour or two, giving passengers enough time for a short exploration. Many of us took the opportunity for a brisk walk into the charming town center. The streets were quiet, adorned with twinkling lights that cast a warm glow on the snow. We browsed the windows of the quaint shops, many of which were closed for the evening, and simply enjoyed the feeling of solid ground beneath our feet. The air was cold and invigorating. Looking up at the sky, away from the city lights, we could see a breathtaking canopy of stars, brighter and clearer than we had ever seen before. It felt like we were standing in the middle of a winter wonderland. This break also allowed us to see our train from a different perspective. Standing on the platform, we could appreciate the sheer length of the Canadian as it snaked around the curve of the track. The warm light spilling from the windows of the dining car and lounge cars made it look incredibly inviting, a cozy haven in the vast, dark wilderness. It was our home, and after our short walk, we were happy to return to its familiar comfort. Boarding again, we felt refreshed and revitalized, ready for the next stage of our adventure. The stop in Jasper served as a perfect intermission, a moment of calm reflection in the middle of our epic journey. As the train's whistle blew, signaling our imminent departure, we settled back into our seats by the window. We watched the lights of Jasper recede into the distance as the train picked up speed, heading east into the night. We had left the magnificent Rocky Mountains behind us, but we knew that so much more of Canada was still waiting to be discovered. The vast prairies and the rugged Canadian Shield lay ahead. Our journey was far from over. The pause in Jasper was a perfect end to a spectacular day, and the beginning of the next chapter. With a sense of contentment and eager anticipation, we traveled onward into the heart of the continent.